welcome to Sonic Talk Episode 8, reDIMPStion.
Oh, God, give me your puns.
That was no.
Hey,
Bad
yes,
take.
no.
Bad
the other title was Dimps the Brakes.
That
Oh
one
my
would have
God.
that one
Like
would have
Dimps
been
the
This is the
better.
last. I'm kicking you off of Sonic Talk. And Sega,
Hey,
we're
it's
doing
my
this.
show. Hey, it's
we're,
my
we're,
show.
we're
I
taking
made
this
it.
shit over.
I like reDIMPStion is better. I think the Dimps the Brakes, so that's what we're
No.
It is
You
not
put
better. None of it
imps
is better.
inside a
Puns are horrible.
Ugh.
Puns are the lowest form of humor.
Oh, shush.
Start the show, dang it.
Oh,
We are on the show. It's already started. You
oops.
guys started interrupting everybody.
Hey,
Okay, with us
Sonic
today...
4. Let's talk about that.
With us today, in case you couldn't tell, is Knuckles87.
Good day, mate. Gotta stop saying that.
From the Spin Dash, GX Echidna.
I'm the everyman.
Our old favorite.
We got 8 episodes since his last one. His own bragging rights. Of course, ours doesn't sound that great as far as audio, but hey.
I've also had approximately 2 job interviews, 1 job fair. I've crossed about 2 states, and I've completely set up a media server within that time. So,
Neat.
in some ways, I'm justified. In some ways, I'm not.
Cool.
Let's assume more on the ways that I am.
Also with us in the 4th chair is Sega54.
The coolest chair, if I do say so myself.
No,
Sitting in it.
that's the 3rd chair. The 3rd chair is where we got Kevin Ballo and Ian Flynn and Dreadnux. Yeah,
I feel awesomeness radiating from my chair right now. Total awesomeness.
The chair is really just for people who, like they asked to be on, and we say, oh yeah, let's get a 4th person. We'll throw that person a bone.
Important people. Real
So how
people.
am I not the 4th chair then, considering that I'm not on all the time?
Well, neither is Sega, and technically both of you asked this time.
Yeah, and you're on.
This is the easiest guest setup we've ever had.
I'd say GX is on more often than anybody else as far as a guest.
Well, GX is.
I've been
easy.
on 3, I think. I think this is my 3rd one. I think 3rd or 4th.
It's not like I'm doing any other podcast or anything like that.
Yeah, you don't do any other podcasts, right?
I'm eventually, now that my whole media server thing is done, I plan on actually, doing podcasts again and such and so forth. So, Sonic 4!
Yeah, well, that's actually going to be near the end of the show.
Sonic 4.
Hacks listening have to sit through the rest of the show.
Yeah, that's right.
4.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, you just fast forward about an hour.
No, they will sit through the entire show, or they will listen to nothing. Stems
ahead to the 42-minute mark, 36 seconds.
My God, we're less than 5 minutes into this, and it's already a train wreck.
Welcome everyone to the ultimate train wreck.
Right. Okay.
This is the ultimate train wreck.
Let's talk about what we've been up to. Knuckles, what you been up to?
I have beaten Halo Wars. I have beaten Halo 3. I am halfway through Halo 2, and I'm also playing some Sonic 4. Also, Toonami is back on. Yes, which should hopefully please a lot of anime fans and a lot of animation fans like myself and GX and Sega. Yeah.
I had a lot of friends growing up who watched Toonami, but I never really saw too much of it. They're bringing it back?
Yeah, they're bringing it back on Adult Swim after midnight. They're making some new anime. They're making some new productions for it, which could mean new acquisitions or all new anime that they're actually producing.
Are there that many anime out there right now that are really that worth? Because I am admittedly out of a lot of the anime loop that I once was in, but I mean, what's really out there right now that's really, really worth bringing over?
I really do not know.
Yeah, I lost my interest in anime a while back when it became a lot more girl-focused and kids anime focused, and there wasn't really a lot of guy anime as much as it used to be.
As far as anime goes, I've been watching the original Dragon Ball series, which is amazingly different from Dragon Ball Z.
Yes,
I
very
feel
much.
like you talked about this the last time I was on. Are you still watching it, or did you just recently start?
It's a long series.
There's a
man.
lot of episodes on that series.
Yeah, but I can shotgun about 200 episodes of One Piece within I would say 2 weeks.
Well, that's One Piece. This is Dragon Ball, which isn't as good as One Piece. And by the way, One
Admittedly,
Piece
yes.
is the other anime I like.
By the way, Funimation One Piece continues in August.
Yay! The DVD?
Season 4, yes.
Awesome.
I think that's
I need
the
to-
biggest
I need to start
likelihood
buying
of being
those.
on Toonami is One Piece. That's in big demand. Probably One
That would
Piece,
not surprise
Naruto.
me. I would be very happy about that.
Well, One Piece was actually on Toonami, but the story moved so slowly, and it was so damaged by 4Kids that it didn't do very well. And honestly, they started with Skypio, which is probably like the weakest arc in the series I have seen so far.
Yeah, all right, GX, what have you been up to?
Well, aside from the preceding comments I made at the beginning of the show, I got a little bit back into Super Mario Brothers Wii just for a lark, and I enjoy it as much as someone is apparently operating a rotary saw. But most of my opinions that I've ever stated about Super Mario Brothers Wii still stands, but I
Have
enjoy
you
this.
said any opinions on this show before?
Probably not. I'm used to stating many opinions. It's okay. It doesn't look like a very iconic or distinct Mario game. It's very bland, and it is very, very slow to actually ramp up into anything interesting. I'm going to this theme is going to play into
I'm
some
100% agreeing with you so far.
Speaking about
This is
Mario
going to-
visuals, can I bitch about IGN in a minute?
Well, first, I just want to say
in a
this is
minute, go.
this is going to bleed a little bit into Sonic 4 talk, but it is a game that very much takes a very long time to wrap up into anything significant. But when it does ramp up into something significant, it does very well.
I think it's all about the four-player of that game.
I enjoyed new Super Mario Brothers layer levels quite a bit. But in any case,
Cloud
regarding...
World.
Oh, seriously? Goddamn telemarketers. Shut up.
Okay, Sega, what about you? What you been up to? Sega?
Hey,
that was actually
dumbass.
me calling. God damn you! Don't hang up on me. What?
I hear you.
Yeah. Shit.
Talking game
All right.
time,
Well,
go
basically,
now.
What?
Talkie game time, go now.
Okay. Can you actually hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, we can
Alright,
hear
so
you
then-
talk.
Talk
Go.
about games.
I will
What
talk
have
when
you
I'm
been up
ready to
to?
talk.
Feel
All right. Well,
free-
actually, basically, nah. Pretty much, I beat Sonic 4, which we're gonna talk about later, of course. If anyone's still listening to the podcast at this point, I'm also playing Max Payne 3, which is freaking awesome. Just so everyone knows. And then what else? And then I went to see some friends the other week, and pretty much that's what I've.
And
I'd say that's
Xenoblade, don't
what I've
forget
been up to.
Xenoblade.
Oh yeah, Xenoblade too. Yeah, I'm trying to beat that game. I'm stuck on this. Knuckles, where are you in that game?
Oh,
By the way.
I kind of got sidetracked by Halo, but
Yeah, I
but
got stuck
was
at a really bad part.
I was at the part where they are now like on the hand of the fallen hand of the robot.
All right, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a really annoying boss a little later that makes me not even ever want to play the game again. But hopefully, I beat it soon.
Well,
Hopefully.
I actually got stuck on a bunch of enemies. The enemies get really tough.
But it's not.
I
It's
have
not
to
even.
admit, I've barely touched that game so far.
I mean, it's a great game for sure, but there's not a lot of strategy. The strategy pretty much is just like, okay, now the enemies are strong and you have to level up. That's really the only strategy, I think. That's my big issue with it.
The value of the game is not so much. Admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of the gameplay, but it moves fast enough that it doesn't bother me. But it is a game all about exploring, and it's something that I felt that RPGs over the years have just lost so much of that. There's not that much interesting. There aren't that many interesting RPG worlds right now. And
Yeah.
what sets this apart is that the world is a freaking robot fighting another giant freaking robot, and you live on it and inside it, and you get to explore it. So
And then you get to hear, and the Bionis is slowly coming alive, and you get to think, oh God. So is it going to start moving around and
and at least the
running
pace,
people off?
yeah, the pacing's good enough that yeah, at least whenever you have to level up, it is a bit tricky, but you do level up pretty quickly, which does
Yeah.
keep the pace moving along. I
Yeah,
just
Nice.
I personally like leveling up in this because the battle system's actually fun.
I guess
It's
it
better
has
than
its moments.
it's better than Final Fantasy 12s. I think it's great. I think it's a great game until you get to Mechonis, then it kind of sucks. But I'm definitely glad I played it.
Oh God damn it!
Speaking
There's
of
no
exploring, I've been playing Minecraft on the Xbox Live for the first
the
time.
Xbox Live,
Yeah, it's just
the
as good as
internet.
yeah, instead of on PC, but it's like half the price on Live. But
Yeah,
yeah, that is a game that's just either get into it or you don't.
that seems like the least ideal way to play that game, just because if you're going to get into Minecraft, it seems like that's the type of thing where you would want to put in mods and all that stuff. That would be like playing Skyrim on a PS3 or Xbox. You don't want to play it on, you want to play it on the PC so you can actually, once you get into it, just do stuff with it,
Well,
mess
I
with
do
it,
play
muddle with
Skyrim
it.
on an Xbox
Yeah.
because I
So
don't
do
really have a
I.
choice
Nothing
as far
wrong
as
with it.
Skyrim goes. I don't have the kind of PC power for Skyrim.
I
Minecraft, yeah, I would, but I mean, I just like to be able to. You get into the caves, you can dig yourself a little home there, and then you just keep digging down, trying to find some coal, iron, and gold, and watching that you don't open up a huge cavern full of monsters.
And you've just
To
described the
attack.
entirety of Minecraft in under 30 seconds.
Pretty much. Well, then I mean,
Well,
you can build your own world through there. You can build your own castles or
you
have
can
like a
also build
huge
like a
domes
whole
and
world
stuff.
with other people. I
Yeah.
saw this whole community once on this
You build
video game
villages. You
something.
can invite your friends into it and everything.
Yeah, I just feel like I need. It would be nice to have this great big sandbox, and yeah, I know that they've included kind of like end game type stuff to it, but I just feel like it's too sandboxy. I barely finish the games that do have an ending. Just the thought of trying to get into something that
I didn't
has
even know
really no
Minecraft had an
direction.
ending. I thought you were just building on it like a
No,
Lego
I
thing.
No, I mean, I look at some of the news posts, news RSS feeds that come up about it, all the occasional, hey, they just made the entirety of Rapture in Minecraft. Hey, they just recreated the entirety of Link to the Past in Minecraft. So I think they just within the last year they included like a adventure patch that actually adds an end game to it. So
I don't know if
I'm
I
I'm
like that.
I'm curious, what are the achievements in Minecraft?
Mostly
I think
for
you're supposed to dig your way to hell and fight Satan or something.
no, just
Oh,
mainly
just
for
like Sonic 4.
building stuff small. Smelting for the first time, or cooking pork for the first time, or crafting something out of gold for the first time. You get achievements like for that.
Oh, those kinds of achievements.
Yeah,
Well,
and like in Sega 54, I've been playing Sonic 4 as well. Went to Disneyland again with my niece and sister to celebrate her report card. She's got her trip all A's for the second semester in a row.
what did you do
Because
at Disneyland?
went on Star Tours twice near the end of the day. Because now it's 10 planets, and each time you go, it's random which planets you're going to visit. So you get a different experience each time, which is a lot of fun. And and the second time through, I was the rebel spy. They have a little storyline where they have to take a picture of the spy, and then the Empire's after your little tour ship, and you have to get away.
Then you were executed.
Darth Vader actually grabs the ship and starts shaking it with the Force, trying to get you out. It's pretty cool.
Wait a moment. This is a Star
And
Wars
the
drama.
usual stuff like Haunted Mansion. What is it? Pirates of the Caribbean and The Buzz Lightyear ride, Space Mountain, that kind of stuff.
Wait, they had a Star Wars ride at Disneyland?
They've
Well,
had a
they've
Star
had it
Wars ride at.
since
Where have
like
you been?
1987. They've had a Star Tours ride.
Hey, I've never been to Disneyland. My parents never did that for me, so I don't know these things. And I thought that would figure that a Star Wars ride would be like Fox or something, some sort of Fox
Well,
theme
they
park.
license
It's
out Star
MGM,
Wars to
so
everyone.
yeah.
Legoland has Star Wars even. They also have a Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland too. Yeah, right by the Jungle Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Anywho, then went to the Lego store afterwards. Got another Avengers thing. I've
Got
been collecting
Avengers
all the
Lego.
Avengers Legos.
Have you blasphemized yet?
Have I what?
Blasphemized.
I don't even know what that is.
No.
Committed blasphemy.
What's
By combining your
blasphemy with Lego?
DC and your Marvel character.
Oh heck yeah! I'm
Okay.
on the same thing. Yeah. That's
Okay.
what got me into
That could
collecting
have
these
been
Legos
anything.
in the first place. Is that it was DC and Marvel in one, in one thing together. Anyway, the only one I'm missing out of the minifigs now is Black Widow. I got pretty much everybody else now.
I totally want. I've seen the screens for Batman 2 or Lego Batman 2, and I totally want little Cyborg.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm totally buying that game.
I won't, but I just want Cyborg.
And other than that, I've gone and saw the Avengers twice because I love.
I've been meaning to see it a second time. It's a really
Have
amazing
not seen it yet.
movie.
I've seen it 2 fewer times than you.
Haven't seen it all yet, huh?
Nah, not yet. I'm not a big movie watcher, so
Have you
Yeah,
seen any of the other Marvel movies?
It's not a movie.
I've seen Thor and all the Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Well, see,
Somewhere.
Thor. If you've seen Thor, then that'll help a lot because Thor and Loki are big plot points in this movie. So yeah, you'll be okay since you've seen Thor. All right, well, let's start getting up to the topics at hand because this is going to go on forever.
How long has this podcast been so far?
How many times are we going to
About 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah, let's get to news.
All right, on the new Sonic 4 Episode 2 launch trailer, it says at the end to be concluded. Does this mean Episode 3 is officially announced as a final episode?
Wait. Who is predicting this?
A lot of sites actually.
I don't believe this in the slight. If it was to be continued, sure. But if it's the trailer for Sonic Episode 2 and saying to be concluded, I think they're saying this is the conclusion.
Well, yeah, I'm tempted to agree with that.
It says to be continued on the Episode 1 trailer as well.
No, but you just said it says to be concluded.
If it's but the logic is if it says to be continued on Episode 1, that means it's continuing into Episode 2. If it would say to be concluded in the Episode 2 trailer, that could mean it's going to be in Episode 3. Besides, not to give anything away, but the ending is fairly inconclusive on its own.
I'm gonna throw out a prediction here. I have a feeling that they probably will not, because I have a feeling that Episode 2 is not going to sell well because they've done absolutely nothing to promote it.
I agree.
And it doesn't necessarily help that you don't have a community staff or a advertising staff as you once did.
Well, they still have the
community one person.
Well, we had Ken and Kelly on here, just 4 episodes ago. So they do have the community staff. They advertised it somewhat on like the websites and that, but they don't advertise that stuff, outside of the internet, really. Yeah, I don't see it selling as good as Episode 1 did because Episode 1 was just, so new, and it was the first 2D Sonic game.
They released it with zero fanfare. It's like, here it is. With the first one, that not only did they did that, they had a freaking guessing game to see who's not in the game.
I remember the first one had all these advertisements on the Xbox dashboard too.
To be honest, early in its promotion, they had like concept art every Friday and stuff, and every once in a while a new trailer. Now they've been doing that since January. They just kind of stopped doing that in March, which I think kind of hurt it because then as it got closer, there wasn't any more, hype building up to its launch.
Right,
I
and that's
don't.
the mistake they made with binary domain too.
Yeah, they kind of advertise early and then don't advertise weeks before the game comes out. But I don't think that's going to matter because I think this is going to sell more on smartphones and such than it will on the major consoles. Because you just jump on everyone checks their smartphones for the new
I
games.
didn't think this one was released for smartphone. Is it?
Yeah, it's going to be on. It's on iPhone 4 already, and it's going to be on Verizon's. What is it called? Tegra series or something like that.
Okay.
Certain Droid phones will carry it.
It's going to be on the Asus Transformer,
Thank you.
which
Yeah,
is powered by the
iPad.
Tegra card.
It'll be on the iPad as well. Well, maybe I'm wrong because it said the episode 1 sold the most actually on PS3, which is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. They come out on the PS3 first.
I'm wondering if part of that is
No,
Europe.
it came up on the Wii first, episode,
Oh, yeah.
and then it came out on PS3 and then live.
But, well, the Wii has the shittiest download marketplace ever, so.
My feeling is it's probably the combination of Europe and Japan. The fact that if anyone was Europe is so basically Sony territory. They may have lost some over the past year, but as far as I'm aware, it's still pretty much Sony territory. And I mean, Japan, what is an Xbox 360 in Japan?
That's true.
Nothing. It is that other American game console that no one buys.
Very true. All right. On to more news. First four figures has announced and shown off their modern Sonic statue.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it's got Sonic running in a little pose with his leg up. That's about all I
have the
gotta say about
JPEG.
that.
That's
Now,
all I need.
I'm a little worried about it because I have the Jazzwares Sonic in Classic. Oh my god, I'm looking at it right now, and they have a problem with their legs where they lean, and they lean to whatever direction. If you don't have a perfect balance, they're going to lean one way or the other. And
Can I
I'm a
just
little
say for a
worried
second?
about having if it's a plastic. Was it a plastic statue or a wired ceramic? It would probably be a wired ceramic, I imagine.
I'm just gonna cut you in for a second because okay, Jazzwares is very good at making things that look cool and are generally pleasing to the fan. Their quality really, really sucks. I received a Sonic figurine do you remember the Sonic Amy comic book pack?
Yes.
Sonic had 2 left feet, literally. Jazzwares just is not very good at what they do. They create nice things, they create nice things that move, but they do not design for durability and they do not design for people to use these things.
Yeah, I wish I had never taken this out of the package because after I did, within a few days, Classic Sonic started leaning one way, Modern Sonic started leaning the other way. And just if you got these, don't take them out of the package, whatever you do, because they're just gonna lean one way or the other.
I will compliment them though because they picked up the Adventure Time toy line. So,
it's Adventure Time.
Just to tick off a GX, I also got a Wave from Sonic Riders the other day.
I don't hate Wave.
I just finished up my collection. You said you don't like the Riders characters.
No, I'm fine with Wave. I'm fine with Storm. I just hate Jet.
I wish we had Corey on right now. I bet he could do a Jet voice.
Anywho.
Nobody can do a Jet voice that is as irritating as the authentic Jet voice.
So you think you're the fastest thing alive, huh?
Yeah, I like his new voice a little better. He's not so quack, quack, even though he's a parrot and that, but he just sounds like a little young
I thought he was
rat.
a hawk. He's a hawk, not a parrot.
Well, it kind of sounds like a parrot, is what I'm saying. I know he's...
Yeah, but he's a hawk.
Yeah.
Pick your animals straight.
Whatever. Anyway, we also got the True Blue Initiative 2 for Sonic 4 Episode 2. where if you buy 2 copies of the game, they'll give you a shout out on one of their videos. Or if you buy 4 copies, they'll give you an autographed Sonic 4 Episode 2 poster. And then they mentioned, now, who the hell's gonna do this?
Yeah, does anyone else think that
Crazy
seems kind of like
people.
a stupid strategy?
Crazy people.
Yeah.
Like
I
what?
mean, I admit I've bought multiple copies of Sonic 4, but
Yeah, the first one, I did that too, but I'm not gonna
I
be
don't
doing that
really
this
have
time
much of
around.
an incentive to do that again, largely because, well, I don't know.
I think,
I
in
don't
all
see why you
honesty,
would.
it's
I
yeah.
might buy the iPod Touch one out of morbid curiosity, just to see how it performs, But
It's
outside of
something.
that, no.
I was just gonna say it's something cheap. Like it is. It practically costs them nothing to do most of what they are doing. And hey, if they sell 5 more games, hey, that's 5 more games that they wouldn't have sold otherwise. There are crazy, insane people out there that will listen to Sega do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Truly, it may seem insane, but hey, they're not losing anything by doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea. It apparently worked last time, but
They're not
I
Capcoming
guess
it, at least.
I guess personally don't really see the point. I mean, last time I got it on the iPod Touch and the iPad and the Wii. Um, Mostly because I like taking my things portably, and it allows you the only way for me to take Sonic 4 on the go. But
Yeah, that's why I'm
yeah,
kind
it's
of
just
thinking about getting Episode 2 for iPod. Not right now because I'm broke, but maybe
I
next
don't know.
year.
I mean, I don't like touchscreen controls for platformers.
Yeah, they're
The
not too
only
good.
time that's really worked for me is Sonic CD on my Android. That's been about it.
Anyway,
See,
showing
I
the
don't.
difference between America and Europe on popularity, Son- where Sonic Boom tickets are still available for a very small venue in San Diego, Summer of Sonic tickets have sold out in under 3 minutes.
Well,
To
to
be
be
fair, which
fair,
one's the one you go to?
Yeah,
Summer of Sonic is free, and Sonic Boom isn't.
that's
Oh,
true.
I didn't know they didn't charge for tickets.
Yeah, they should charge for tickets because then they'd be able to afford a much bigger venue. But yeah, they provide them for free.
Huh.
Why are they? I'm wondering why they're doing it this year if they don't have anything to show off. That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, they have Sonic and Sega. They have Sonic. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Oh,
Sonic
okay.
All
Yeah.
Stars Racing is coming out.
I
So
guess, but it's not Sonic 4 or Sonic
Yeah, I was
Generations.
originally going to predict that they're not going to have a big Sonic game announcement for E3 because usually by this time we know of the major Sonic game. Like we knew of Colors and we knew of Generations before E3, where we don't know of any major game coming out
Well, All
later
Stars
this
Racing is going
year.
to be the big game this year. I
But,
mean, that
they're having 2 Sonic events Summer Sonic and Sonic Boom, which Sega themselves are hosting.
I'm guessing that honestly, the Sonic Boom was probably pre-planned before they even knew about the whole restructuring thing, and they're just going to try to go through with it. But I am very curious to see what restructured Sonic is going to look like. And
I don't really
I'm not
think.
saying restructuring as in they're going to reboot the franchise. I know that rumors out there, but I'm not thinking. But I mean post whatever Sega is going through.
Well, the
Sonic.
reconstruction doesn't really affect Sonic.
Yes, it does, because now Sonic and Aliens don't have much development competition.
Oh, you mean like they might make more Sonic games?
Oh, I have a feeling that this is going to become a situation where we will see more Sonic. Jason, Shigs,
Something wrong?
yeah,
Hello?
am I causing you to have like an aneurysm or something?
No, you're fine. Why?
It sounds
We're
like you're
hearing deep
breathing
breathing.
heavily. I know I have a
No,
second
I plugged
voice,
in I
but
plugged in my wired mic instead of my laptop mic because you were complaining about the fan noise.
which is the signal to switch from mic to mic, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
See, the regular mic is way up close to my mouth. That's probably why you hear me. Let me
The
back it up a
audience
little
loves microphone explanations.
bit.
Come for the
I don't
Sonic
even
Talk,
have a
stay for the microphones.
It's riveting. Anyway, moving along, we got a Windmill Island mod for the PC version of Sonic Generations. It's now available as kind of like a demo in places like Sonic Retro, if you want to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a PC. I haven't been able to check that out for myself because I don't have a powerful enough PC to run Sonic Generations. Has anybody else seen it?
No.
I've seen Professor Pickle run through one of the stages. Does
Yeah,
that
we
count?
discussed that with Ian.
Yeah, that's a mod they somehow did with the original Generations. I don't know. How are they modding these console games, by the way, if they're not up
Like-
to date?
There are always ways. It's just you don't want to put them online because then they will update and you will not be able to.
Yeah, because at first I accidentally reported on the PSS that was a PC mod, and I was totally wrong on that.
No biggie.
I mean, it's I'm surprised they're able to do that. They're doing that with the 06 now, where they have like the dog and the little pigeon running through stages instead of Sonic and Tails, which is hilarious.
I like some of the Generations reskins. They've been doing some interesting things with that. I've been impressed.
Doing well on that.
Now
Next
for something
is
not so
Sonic
impressive.
Labyrinth, the best handheld Sonic game ever made, and one of Jason Barry's favorite games of all time.
Next.
Yeah, it's available on the Euro eShop, and it's probably going to be available here in America anytime soon.
Nintendo Life gave that game 4 stars. I know Nintendo Life tends to overrate things, but come on. That game doesn't
4 out of 5?
4 out of 5 or 4 out of
4 out of 10.
Oh.
It doesn't deserve that.
I was just going to make a crack
even
about
that's too high, yeah?
about how you can't trust Nintendo sites with anything when it comes to reviews. But yeah, 4 out of 10, that sounds reasonable.
Except Nintendo World Report. You can trust Nintendo World Report. They have
I
the best...
I find that they can overrate things too. At
not
least in my opinion.
So, Sasser.
Yeah, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, the first one, not the second one, is got a big update on iOS and now features a new Samba de Amigo track, and you can play as Knuckles and Shadows, provided you have enough miles points.
So, Comic Talk.
And if you don't, you can pay for them.
Yay!
So, how about Sonic Universe? Okay, I have the general app.
Really shoving us forward, aren't you?
Well, that's because he doesn't want to talk about this, apparently, so that means I really want to talk about it.
I've played it. It's... No, iPhone games... Trying to shove a console game onto the iPhone does not work. I'm sorry.
Well...
Sasser on iPhone is not that good.
I think it's all right. I mean, for a touchscreen tilt-based racer.
But that's just it. For a touchscreen tilt-based, that's the best you can say. It's all right for that.
Well, Mario Kart Wii is tilt-based on its own, really.
And no one ever wants to play it that way. That is the least ideal way to play that game.
Unless you're drunk.
That's the only way I play that game.
Well, sure, if I'm drunk, then sure.
If you're drunk, it's
a
a blast.
what I'm playing.
Exactly.
Put a stick
Dude,
in my
holding a
hand
wheel.
and tell
It's
me
the
I'm
coolest
playing
thing ever.
Mario 64.
But
Anyway.
I don't know. I think it's an okay racer. You know.
Well, game aside, how do you feel about them having microtransactions added to the game where you
I think
can
it's
actually
a
pay
brilliant
now?
idea.
I think it's an iPhone game, therefore it has microtransactions.
Hey, those microtransactions are going to be coming to consoles soon. Just you wait.
Yeah, people seem to love this stuff
They
now.
haven't?
Well, not love it, but they pay for it.
That's going to have.
What do you think DLC is? Especially on discs, DLC is just a microtransaction.
Guys, have you seen Mass Effect 3? It's here. Have you seen FIFA?
I have not played Mass Effect 3.
I have not played Mass Effect 3 or
to
FIFA.
hear about it.
I know of it, though. I know it's got a million little microtransactions and downloadable content if you buy the action figure and what have you.
Oblivion had like that horse armor thing, right? Buy horse armor for what, $5?
Nowadays, that's like normal.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to what GX wants to talk about. We got Sonic Universe number 40.
I want to talk about iPod
The
games.
end of the Scrambled Arc.
Okay, yes, I do want to talk about this. Because any arc that involves Robotnik is freaking amazing. And Ah, good comics.
Yes,
Gah.
because Ian just does the best Eggman out of pretty much anybody, games
Yeah,
or otherwise.
better
Absolutely.
than the video game Eggman.
The only scary part is that at this point it's so good that I cannot possibly see the way that they leave it. Like how do they make a cut from this arc, because this looks like this is going to be a very long time going.
What I liked is this end of the issue. It was unpredictable. I didn't know how it was going to end when I got to that last issue, and that's what I like. I like that I can't predict, what's going to happen next. That
So, have you two read
made
the
me
issue
happy.
yet?
Yeah, I think
I,
we all
I
read it.
Okay, well, except for Engseg, because he doesn't read Sonic comics.
Word, yo.
Of course, he doesn't read any comics, as far as I know. You need to read
Yeah.
more, Sega.
I read, just not comics. I do like comics to look at, but I don't really follow any comics specifically.
I'm
I
going
can
to buy you a
respect that.
subscription. Give me your address.
What?
I'm going to send you comic books.
Oh, good God, man.
Anyway, in my opinion, this was probably going to be the best arc of this year,
Yeah,
story-wise.
it's odd. Like last year, the best arc was Scourge. This year, the best arc is Robotnik.
Well, that's just it though. I can't see this being under a year. I have a feeling that this general arc could absolutely take longer than that because of everything that they've set up. I cannot see anything that they could do cleanly to, like
we
I
should.
said, escape this, to bring things back to any sort of realm of normality. If you've looked at every major hitting event, it is just crazy event after crazy event after crazy
Yeah.
event.
Are we talking about the Sonic Universe number 40 or the comics as a whole?
At this point, they're almost one and the same because everything is happening so simultaneously between
Yeah.
them.
This ain't your daddy, Sonic. Everything's
But
changing.
we haven't really been talking about what we're talking about, so people who don't read the comic books won't really know what we're
So
talking
basic,
about. So,
so basically, we're in the end
Yeah,
hello?
the scrambled arc.
game of the insurrection, where and Eggman face off, robot against robot, in the most amazing comic book cover that must have been specifically designed to make me feel giddy, because not only do you have Sonic the Fighters, which I have this bizarre affinity for, but you have Honey in in the bottom corner. Nobody should know who Honey is.
And she's
If
not, of
you know
course, in the comic at all. She's just there as the little cameo right in that little
if
area.
you know who Blaze the Cat is, you are a pretty good Sonic fan. If you know who Knack the Weasel is, or Bark, or
From the
Bean,
Cipher.
then you're a pretty darn good Sonic fan. If you know who Honey is, you are way too into this. It is scary.
I've known who Honey is for years now. It's on Sonic Cult and stuff.
Yeah, that's Sonic Cult.
Do not mention Sonic Cult.
Sonic Cults, yes.
Do not mention
yes.
them in this podcast.
Sonic Cults, soniccult.org.
You're nasty.
Visit if you're under 18. Visit it.
So in
No,
other
no, don't do that. You're a
I'm a
horrible person.
horrible influence. Okay,
Anyway,
but
the gist of the story is Snively's been sick of Eggman's crap and his odd decisions he's been making lately, so he decided to escape. He wants to, go out on his own. He tried to get his niece or half-sister Hope to join him. She's with Team Dark, and they got to a big battle there. She refused, and finally he went to what's the name of that land they're on?
they are the
Oh,
United
yes.
Federation.
No,
The Dragon Kingdom.
yeah, the Dragon Kingdom, and got
That's basically China.
his girlfriend Regina back. And so Eggman caught up with him there, and they have this big old showdown with a giant iron robot versus Eggman's plastic and ceramic robot, which he has to do because Regina is a mage.
Do we really need to explain this? If they don't
Well,
know
I
it,
just
then
want to talk about the
they
ending.
won't care.
Anyway, yeah, the ending. Basically, Regina thinks that Eggman's shown them mercy. He's made her part of the Dark Age Legion, and She thinks she's with Snively now, helping out, and they think, oh great, this is going to be a great opportunity to backstab him and everything. Meanwhile, he's watching her every move, and he's got the real Snively locked up in a little one of those Sonic prison canisters that
Wow.
pop at the end of every level. And
You
he's
are
beating up
terrible at
trying.
expositing.
Well,
So
I'm having to do
by
it.
the end of it,
Yeah,
Snively's captured. Regina's part of the Egg Legion, and
Nobody else
basically,
that Snively's there except Eggman himself.
what?
Yeah,
How exactly did he make Snively a sympathetic character? This is insane that this is happening, because we are talking about the man who double crossed about every character in the possible series at some point. That somehow, it's insane.
well, it's very simple. Have him find love, then rip him away from that love, and then toss him into a cold metal cell where he's having them all crying and teary and a little ball going, I'm so sad. And then boom, you got a sympathetic villain who's also a jackass. But I have to say that the ending of this arc was okay. It was really good, because yeah, as you said, it makes Snively sympathetic. It oh man, I also suck at expositing.
What I kind of liked about the whole arc itself, though, is that you kind of got to see what goes on day to day. It's kind of like a glimpse of
It's Eggman's life.
It's like, wake up, bring in the warlords, have a nice little pep talk, threaten everybody. Then, hey, let's go conquer a village just to be safe. And after that, we'll go ahead and, hunt Snively, find him, beat him, because I'm Eggman and I can do that. And I'm always one step ahead of everyone except Sonic, so.
Use a Q-Bot as a footstool or a coaster.
And he'll also apparently warp people down the hall.
Yeah, this is also this arc also introduced Orbot and Q-Bot into the comic finally.
True.
And they're in the
Makes
latest
sense.
issue of Sonic as well, and I'm really glad they're in here now.
Another good cover, Mystery Science Theater 3000 parody.
Yeah, that one's awesome. There's a lot of good covers in this issue.
Orbot and Q-Bot have basically usurped Snively's role in the comic book. The moment I saw them, I thought, oh, yeah, they're basically gonna take over Snively's place now.
Yeah, that's what
either
left me wondering before Sonic Universe 40.
Get away, but he's not coming back.
That's what had me wondering during Sonic Universe 40 with Sonic 236, is we see Orbot and Q-Bot beside him, and we're like, oh well, I wonder what happened to Snively. Did he escape? Did he win? Did he get captured? We didn't know at the time.
Oh, he got grabbed by his gigantic nose and thrown to a cell.
Yeah, but I love that Eggman's taunting him at the end of it. Basically, I just beat you at your A game. You've got nothing left.
Yes, that was probably the most crushing part about the ending, was like he said, oh, actually, I've got the comic book right here.
Yeah, and we still don't know at the end whether there's the romance between Regina Ferrum and Snively is actually real.
I have a feeling it probably is.
Look at those puppy dog eyes when she's talking robot Snively.
So we wonder if it is, she's probably going to figure it out, eventually, and turn on Eggman again, so we'd have another little arc going on.
I don't know if that would even qualify as an arc. I'm sure he's already...
It definitely leaves a plot hole open for later. Well, not a plot hole, but an extra little plot for later.
Really, the best part about the ending was basically Robotnik saying, yes, you brought your A game, and guess what? I got to refresh my troops, I got to blow up some villages, I got to do all this stuff, and you brought your A game, and I still kicked your ass. And now I
believe you're quoting the comic book at this point?
Well, sort of. Paraphrasing, really.
I love that we got a lot of Eggman quotes out of this arc too, and him singing his own theme song. And then and this one, during the robot fight, he screams out, "Get a load of this!"
And I was wondering how they were going to do an Eggman arc, because most of these arcs, well, all of these arcs, the main character has been the protagonist. But in this, there wasn't necessarily a protagonist. I mean, I guess you're probably rooting for Snively, but
Like
you
like
know,
I said, it's kind of following the life of Eggman for a little while. I mean, you get some side clips of Snively, but primarily you're just watching what Eggman does day to day.
I'm getting some static.
Jason
Oh.
explode.
It went off for a sec, but I'm fine. Are you still there in Sega?
Yep, just listening.
Okay.
You are now coming in very loudly, though.
Well, that's good to know.
Well, I mean, like, very loud. Am I echoing? Or
Like
are
deafening.
You
No, you're not
That's
echoing.
fine.
Let me pull the
You all
mic
sound
away a
good.
little bit just so I'm not breathing heavily again.
Is GX, yeah.
So, what were you saying, GX?
Probably nothing, because I don't see him. Oh, there he is.
I was saying a thing about how it was kind of like following Eggman. So if you were going to say anyone was the star, it kind of is Eggman. Although it's more, you could also consider it more of like a Eggman Snively relationship episode as well. But
Yeah.
Anyway, now on to the main game to talk about Sonic 4 Episode 2.
it
And
stinks.
no, it doesn't. I finished it and Sega's finished it. Knuckles, you're
Yep.
close. How far are you?
Sort of. I have 2 emeralds, and I'm on the final boss of Sky Fortress.
I have 2 emeralds, and I'm on what I assume is the final boss of the game. I think.
Are you in the Death Egg Mark II?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. By the way, yes, these people are going to be spoiling the hell out of this
Spoiler
game.
alert. A Sonic game ends on the Death Egg.
Hey, not every Sonic game ends on the Death Egg. Some of them end in other locations, like a Mayan
Square.
well,
Like
yeah, like
some sort of
Station
giant
Square.
space station in space.
Yeah, that's just what Episode 2 was. Just a space station instead of the Death Egg. Anywho,
So, back to playing the game, so, just go on, guys.
yeah, this is definitely a huge improvement over the first game. It's obvious that they've been listening to a lot of what the fans have been saying, especially on the physics part. Not so much on the springs and the booster pads, which are still plentiful. But as far as what the heck was that? I guess that's Knuckles playing the game there.
Yes, I'm playing the game. Go on, go.
Physics go. There's nothing really much to complain about this time around. It feels more classic. You're not starting from a slow walk into a run. You're automatically going from a slow run into a fast run.
Acceleration's. I think acceleration might be a bit too slow, but even then, that'd be a bit nitpicky for me. So.
Yeah, I think it's a much better acceleration than the first one, in my opinion.
Well, acceleration is better than the first one.
Yeah, I mean, and the rolling's a bit better. Like Knuckles said, is if you're going off just a low the downhill section, you'll still only roll a little bit and maybe stop. But if you're going down a steeper incline, you can actually gain speed.
Generally speaking, though, you never get that fast in the game, though.
Yeah, the thing with the dimps is they seem to lock Sonic's speed. You always go at a certain. You always go to a certain speed and then bam, then you're locked. You never like in the Genesis days where you can run so fast you can actually go all the way past the screen and it's just the background's moving real fast with nothing there.
Yeah, I think this is just another situation where they are trying to create physics, but there are not actual physics in play. I mean, I'm saying this very broadly, and I can't really vocalize it well, but it's like in Sonic Generations where, yes, there were kind of physics, but they weren't necessarily like physics. They were, this person will react to this in this way, which, like I said, I can't vocalize it well because I just described physics.
Yeah, as far as level design goes, I think it's quite a bit of improvement over there too. Levels tend to be larger. It's a bit more challenging than the first one. It's not it's not a super difficult challenge, but it's a moderate challenge.
I wouldn't even say it's more difficult. There are fewer aggravating parts than in the first one, I would say.
I think it's easier, to be honest with you
I
guys.
think it's far easier, especially with the inclusion of Tails. However, I think it's perhaps a bit harder to maintain the topmost or find most of the secret locations. I'm going to place part of that blame onto the fact that the camera seems a bit too zoomed in for me.
Well, it does tend to zoom out at times too, though. At least they got that this time around.
Occasionally, but not much.
Yeah.
It's the difference of whenever, using as an example the train track episode or the train track level.
The roller coaster.
The roller coaster level. Whenever you get to go into the background, you can actually see a bit more of what's actually ahead of you, and you're not having to make level memorizing type jumps.
Right. That is actually one of the downsides on the level design is levels like White Park Act 2, which is almost the definition of hold right to win. That level's got nothing to it really, barely any branching paths. You're pretty much going straight forward through the whole level. That was probably my least favorite level in the entire game so far.
The music's good though. The music's really
good. The music's good. I mean, they do
on that one.
But
they do better Genesis chip tuning, I think. But at the same time, it seems like the soundtrack is a little less memorable even than the first one was.
It's completely forgettable. It's like it's not even June. It's like who conducted this? Because even whenever he's not particularly quote good, he's at least really memorable with it. If he's going to make something that is utterly butt rock, he puts everything into it.
Yeah.
This is like, this is more like GBA expectations of soundtracks.
Well, what's funny is that most people seem to hate the soundtrack, and like I think some songs I do hate, and I think because the loops are too quick. Like it only lasts for a few seconds before it loops, it seems like, and I think that gets on people's nerves. Like I definitely thought so on certain points.
The worst example of that is the Death Egg Mark II Act 1.
Oh yeah.
It's a boss theme that goes for a 10-second loop and then keeps going and going and going on that 10-second loop, but it was aggravating me to listen to it. It was horrible.
Yeah, like there were some really short loops in this, and I guess he's trying to do the Genesis thing, but even the Genesis songs I thought they seemed like they were longer.
Yeah, they were, I think.
I'm sure they were.
As far as
they were more, I would say they had better transitions back into the beginning.
And less pitchy, too.
What's weird is it's fine when you're not really trying to pay attention to the music and that. Then you got kind of the Genesis feel to it because he does use a few more instruments this time around. But at the same time, like we were saying, it's just that I can't recall a tune just off of top of my head from any of the tracks outside of the one that got the most complaints, which is the duck sounding tunes. From
I can remember one.
Act 2. Yeah, the one that everybody hates.
No. The only one I can remember is do 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 do. You know, the good one.
Yeah, that's the one at the
intro. Best song in the whole entire game.
Pretty cool because what they did was if you notice at the beginning of that cutscene when he's coming to, it's a very slow version. It's a very slow version of Sonic Boom. It goes and then it goes off into Toot Suit Sonic Warrior as he's flying from Little Planet back to Earth or Mobius or what have you.
So since we're on the topic of cutscenes, I am the models look very good. I am very impressed with the models.
I loved it.
The animations in this game are even disregarding the fact that Sonic Episode 1, the animations, but in this one,
it kind of reminds me of New Super Mario Brothers, and
there's a lot of character in these. I was very impressed. I love the such dejected look on Sonic's face whenever you lose a special stage. I love that. The fact that they've done cutscenes well. This is the type of cutscene that I want to see in every Sonic game. It's no talking. I want to see them just using it as a transition to get from place to place. I don't need dialogue.
Yeah, it's basically like the old Genesis Sonic 3 or Sonic Knuckles, story arc cutscenes where you'd have the little expressions and they do the little animations, but it was enough to get you to understand what the story was.
And there's cute little moments that you wouldn't get in games like that. The fact that Metal Sonic kind of I hate to get into spoiler territory but the fact that Metal Sonic kind of crashed into the space station and just pushed his way around it. The fact that they just kind of ran to that last escape pod to hop in at the last second and jet off, and watching them both of them sitting in the little escape pod, and it has a lot of great little moments, a lot of little touches to show that they put effort into the animation, which is really appreciated for a Sonic game.
Well, the whole game is really has a much higher budget than Sonic 4 Episode 1. I was actually talking to Ken Barlow over in PAX East, and he said that Sonic 4 Episode 1, they weren't really sure if it was gonna do well, and so they gave it a pretty low budget.
And, it shows in a lot of places. I mean, it's so 2D.
But then with Episode 2, because Episode 1 did so well, they gave Episode 2 a much greater budget to allow it to produce all these beautiful HD graphics and stuff, and it really shows. There's lots of neat little details and stuff. Like remember the night stage in Sylvania Castle when you're running past flowers and they had this glow and that dissipates when you blow by them. Little details like that are really nice.
This is going to get into a theme that I'm probably going to bring up a lot, but like I said, this is another game that just the whole front half of this game just sucks. It sucks. The first two zones are bad.
That's
half the game.
I kind of disagree.
I
like Sylvania Castle just fine. It's actually one of my favorite zones.
I don't know what compelled them to put two water levels.
Well, that I will agree with that.
I agree with that. Usually the first zone is almost always a Green Hill style, getting used to the controls.
But even without that, they put it the first zone as a water zone. No, nobody likes water zones in Sonic. No sane, rational person likes playing as Sonic underwater. The only exception that was Sonic good underwater was Sonic Colors, and it's because they actually gave you mobility.
Did you use Tails in the underwater sections?
You can use Tails, but that doesn't make it better. That just makes
it. You can swim around. You're getting a lot of movement with Tails.
And he steals your air bubbles.
It's still slow movement. You can move around with Tails, but you're still moving so slowly and so laboriously. And it's not fun. It's not fluid. It's a pace killer, and it's a pace killer at the worst possible point that they could put it at a game. And they let it happen for 2 worlds. It's bad. At the state, I'm even going to say.
I think it's.
I meant to start this.
I will
with the graphics,
say it's very hard that White Park would have a water level as well. When Sylvania Castle does.
Say that it did for 2 worlds. I just played the first levels of Sylvania Castle, and I completely avoided the water. It's really, I think there are really only two acts with water in this game. Act 2 of Sylvania and Act 2 of Act 3 of White Park. So I wouldn't say that 2 entire worlds have water. Just 2 acts.
But that's still too much too early.
Even
in episode 3, they didn't bring it to you until the 3rd world, and I don't know why they keep going back to the water. The water levels are bad in Sonic. Labyrinth is universally reviled as the worst stage of Sonic 1. They kind of fixed it by limiting it in Chemical Plant, and I forget the name of the next thing after that. Sonic 2 also had 2R levels pretty early in the game. But they have almost absolutely no time.
Yeah, it wasn't in Emerald Coast. It was just, the zone after that.
Did you know that Sonic and Knuckles has absolutely no water in the entire game? Not a bit. Yeah. So
Sonic 3 does, as Hydro City.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Sonic 3.
And technically they're supposed to be part of the same game.
Shut up.
The hell?
But
Technically, but I don't really agree with that.
honestly, to me, the first two zones, worst level design. The backgrounds look nice, but the foregrounds are they're bland.
So,
They're
like,
very
all of the
monotone.
two,
They're,
so like the entirety of the first two zones is bad level design.
I had a very tough time struggling and developing a good rational view of this website or of this video game because I was just bored throughout the whole first half of the game, and I was hoping that they would at least increase the complexity in the latter two, and they delivered. I am very impressed with the
Yeah,
latter.
so I don't know why some people are like trashing Oil Desert on the forums. That's one of my favorite zones as well. I think they did a great job with that.
Admittedly, yes, that's when it does get a little bit springy, but I think whenever you play through the first time, springs are a bit more forgivable. It's just whenever you go back to it and want to try to perfect it that it gets kind of annoying because it's a meaningless transition.
That's true. I will say the bosses are a lot more original in this one than they were in the first one, where
Yeah, they're also a
just
lot more
copycats.
difficult.
Yeah,
Except
they
for the
are.
first one. I don't like the first one. The first one's almost nonsensical to me. When does he attack? When does he not attack? Why don't I just fly up and hit him? And
Yeah, that's the one
yeah.
thing is it's hard to recognize what the patterns are on the bosses compared to previous games because you got that new dynamic and you don't know. Okay, am I supposed to fly with tails here or use the rolling attack? It's just something you gotta guess, on your own.
Or
However,
when to hit
every
him,
other
yeah.
boss has really impressed me. I love. Well, the second boss is pretty good. I like the fact that you have two tiers to work with, and that really surprised me. And it filled me with a childish glee whenever Tails accidentally somehow got to the back and I was on the front. That's a nice effect.
Yeah,
Uh,
I dug the bosses. I thought they were what the first one should have been, because Dimps always kind of did decent bosses, and then
Yeah.
these were cool and
Really?
elaborate.
Thank
Like,
God the
Dimps?
end bosses weren't a whole collage of the previous bosses you had before.
yes,
Oh, wait,
exactly.
wait, 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 wait. I'm stuck on this concept of Dimps having good bosses because since Game Boy
Clever,
Advance,
clever bosses. Like bosses that
No,
you could
I
look at it,
like
be like,
I like their
oh, that's
bosses in
cool.
Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure.
I never
The
thought
only problem
anything
I have
positive about
is
Oh,
Sonic
God
is
damn it!
they tend to go into I'm thinking you're playing the game there, Alex.
Yes, I'm still trying to beat fucking Metal Sonic. I get to him. I got all the way to the point where he starts firing these missiles that don't explode. They just turn on their
Don't
sides.
don't
And
try to homing attack on him. Jump on his head when his plane's upside down.
I can't even get to the
No,
plane.
no. He's talking about the very end part of the plane, right? You're talking about
Yes, the very end part.
dodge the missiles. Use
Obviously, dodge the
wait,
missiles.
whoa. Hold on. Okay.
Obviously.
As you're dodging the missiles, look for opportunities to use the plane's boost.
Yeah, I've also been doing that.
Yeah,
Then
you
I boost and doing that a goddamn
boost
missile
right
that knocks
into his
off the
face.
screen. Ah!
They give you arrows.
Missiles are supposed to explode. Why can't they just explode?
You
Instead,
know
they
what gave
keep
me a
waiting to
problem
kill the
was
player.
earlier in that act was the turtles because all of a sudden they would group a whole bunch of them together.
Oh, I
And
love that. I
and I
love
would
those
try to
turtles.
I love the turtles, but then I would try to bop them and I'd end up flying right through them and dropping to the
Okay.
ground
Are
Yeah,
every
we
you
time.
moving
cannot
into
homing attack them very well. You have to
No.
just
are
single
we
jump.
moving into the sky level talk?
I
Because
know.
I want to talk that. I
Okay,
want to
let's go
talk
into
that
Sky
much.
Fortress,
Okay.
which
The
is
intro.
inspired by Sky Fortress.
It's
I
like
love
they
the
fixed
fact that
it.
they're honest about that. That it is basically the same, world, not the same level design, of course, but the same world.
They took what was basically a slightly interactive, very, very long cutscene, and they actually made it fun. I don't know how. I mean, yeah, it looked cool in Sonic 2, but in here you actually get to do stuff. You
Yeah.
actually get to split up from the plane, and you have to use enemies to get to the other side and rejoin it. I don't know. I was fanboyishing out then. It was amazing. It was great. I love that part.
I do
It
find
was
that kind of
cool, yeah.
odd how we're surprised that this game does something better than a game made 20 years ago.
Most games don't do things better than how they did them 20 years ago. Look at
Well,
Mario games. How many 2D Mario games have yet to stack up against World?
Well, let's face it, 2D was easier.
I didn't really like
really.
the old 2D Mario games. I actually prefer Mario Galaxy over anything else Mario has made.
To
Super
be
Mario
fair,
3 is
you
my
have
favorite
your
still.
opinions, and you are you. So I disregard most things that you say. So
That's
I
not very
love that you
nice.
love Mario.
I gotta say I like the new Badniks as well, except Snowy. Snowy is Ken's favorite, but he always pops up when I'm not expecting him and hits me, and then I gotta hit him 3 times. But I especially like the ones in like Oil Desert where they have the little dung beetle that drops a huge bomb on you. You gotta watch for.
You don't actually get to see, again, going into the theme of first half versus second half, you actually don't see very much in the first half of the game. They
As
don't
far as
have very much,
Badniks, no, not too many. You get a few here and there.
but they definitely take more advantage of it later, like in the last couple levels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just
I mean, there's some pretty cool new ones mixed in with the old ones, and they do seem more challenging at times. Like they got that one that's a little ball, and then he has jets coming out of all of his sides.
oh, that was a fantastic. That's the type of level design thing that I wanted to see more of in this game. Not only did he do that, but the fact that it ignited the oil
I'm gonna
underneath.
get you. Yes, gotcha. Die, you little son of a bitch.
I also
Guys,
like the
what
fact
if
that they
I-
have,
Talking about.
that you fight Metal Sonic multiple times in the game instead of just one race, like in Sonic CD. He has
Yeah,
he
I
has a much
feel
stronger
like-
presence in this game than in any of the previous games he's been in.
Well, considering that they give him 4 extra levels,
Yeah, that's true.
that is a presence.
As long as you have Episode 1 and Episode 2 on the same console.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I need to buy episode 1 again on the PS3 now.
Maybe
So-
they'll still mention you.
Yeah.
I bought episode 1 again now that you've made it worth my while.
Yeah, that's something I like too. We're going to go into Episode Metal for a sec. They took those old levels and put, the newer Sonic 4 physics on them. Plus they changed
Wait,
the
they changed
layout
the
quite a
physics?
bit. Huh?
They changed the physics? I heard that they didn't change anything.
Oh no, the physics, because it's Metal Sonic, but he has Sonic 4 Episode 2's physics. At least it feels like.
Wow.
Because
Huh.
you're actually playing this within Sonic Episode 2. You're not
Yeah.
going back to Episode 1 to play Metal.
Yeah, and
Really?
the 4 levels have slightly different layouts on them. They have very similar designs and the same background music, but the layout's a little different. There's more platforms everywhere. There's a lot more Badniks everywhere. It gets kind of irritating there. When you start off as Metal Sonic in Mad Gear Zone, there's literally 4 grasshoppers surrounding you from all
Okay.
sides.
I'm watching the cutscene after the 4th boss battle right now. I have to say, these graphics are really, really good. I mean, these are retail game graphics right here.
Yeah, I was arguing
Yes.
with GX about this before
Yes.
that. In a way, not totally, but in a way, I kind of prefer the way this looks to Sonic Generations.
I can accept that.
Oh,
I can
wow,
accept that you
it's-
prefer them.
They are cleaner because even though they're not as detailed, of course, but they're cleaner. They're very sharp. It's going at 60 frames per second. You can see where everything's at, and I don't know, because when you see something like that fan project where you had Emerald
Wow.
Coast and that Eggman flying through, there was too much going on, and it's kind of like with the Green Hill Zone on Generations. There's also way too much going on sometimes in the background that you can easily get lost. Where in this game you have almost, not quite, but almost the graphical fidelity there. But
Oh, nice.
but the all the details are both detailed and simple enough to you don't get lost in them at all.
Oh,
But
nice.
I will agree with GX that the lighting's a bit off at times on Sonic
Yeah.
and Tails themselves.
There's a duel with Metal Sonic, huh?
There's
That
always
sounds-
duels with Metal Sonic in this game.
You've
Yeah,
got-
but we have a duel with Metal Sonic. So this one's gonna be better then, right?
It's cool. I remember it being cool.
The Death Egg looks really
Fantastic.
nice. I like what they did to it. Has
Yeah,
this nice kind of threatening purple.
The Death Egg is almost an extra zone in itself. If they would have made like an Act 3, it would have felt like, an extra zone.
They learned how to, in that stage, they learned how to properly use that stupid screen rotation that they decided to put in the iPhone last.
Yeah, it felt a lot more like a Dimps level on that Death
It
Eggman.
definitely did. Honestly,
You have the other
the
ones.
design motif, it felt straight out of any of the Sonic Advance games in terms of motif.
I know. I'm just a Dimps fan myself. I mean, when they
Oh,
allow
wow.
themselves to
Isn't
just
it?
go ahead and go crazy like in Sonic Rush or Rush Adventure, I kind of like their level designs. I know it's not for everyone, but
Yeah, this level
when
does look like
they're allowed
something
more
out of,
freedom, it's pretty cool.
this level does look like something out of Sonic Rush. I will say that, except HDified.
Yeah.
Wow,
While
this
we're
looks
on
really
the
good.
while we're pseudo on the topic of what Dimps does in terms of like the Game Boy Advance things, what did you Knuckles ignored because his opinion doesn't matter in this case because his
Hey,
opinion is generally wrong. What did you guys think about the actual Tails team up? The actual fact that Tails back, Tails is extra
It's both a plus and a minus. I
abilities
mean,
that he
more
offers, that kind of
information.
stuff.
I have an opinion that you would not expect about
it's
the
it's
Tails
No
team
one
up.
it's both a
cares.
plus and a minus. I
I
mean,
don't
it's
care.
very, very easy to pull off. Just you either jump in the air and Tails either flies or swims you, or you tap square while on the ground and you get to this full running rolling motion. The only problems I have with it is when your Tails is flying, it's kind of like a cheating device almost because you can bypass a lot of platforms or.
Well,
But
Tails
on
has
the
always
plus
been a
side,
cheating
he
device.
can save your ass too if you hit the wrong platform and you're about to die. You're about to fall to your death. He can save your butt on that. But with the rolling, I don't like how it's automated. You don't have to hold right. They just go on their own, and they'll
But
just
at this
keep going and going and going until something finally can stop them.
But what I like about that is that they will keep going, as in they will stay in the ball.
Yeah, but
Which
it breaks the physics because you can go up a side of a wall just really slow on your rolling and still go get up there.
I don't. That doesn't bother me that much.
I
That's a Sonic retro nitpick. But now that I'm making enemies, but I I really like it. It makes me think that looking at color, it makes me think
yeah.
Sonic Advance 3 was doing some really great things. It's just that they went way too overboard with it. If you at the direction I want to see Sonic, have me play as Sonic, but I like what they did here. This is a really good template to me for what they can do in the future to keep a classic style Sonic, but actually add new ideas. Give him things to pair with. Give him these small special abilities that help with actual stage movement. And then the terms of Tails, the fact that it is so easy to almost break the game because you can fly as much as you want to and you can do
Well,
all
you
that.
can't really fly as
Build the
much as you want
stages.
to as
I
Tails
want them to
because
build the stages around that, like they did in Colors. Colors is completely built around the idea that you can use these powers. I want that. I want this game. I want a game like this to take the fact that you are built around Tails and don't just put like a cliff and say, "Oh, here's the cliff. Why don't you fly up?" But have more opportunities like they had in Sonic Generations, where you built whole tracks of stage that were built around the concept of you are going to do a lot of flying here. You are going to do special climbing or gliding or platforming or whatever Knuckles' assist was or whatever. I like that they're doing with that. I just wish that in this game and hopefully in future games they take advantage of that more.
yeah, and
Even if it's yeah.
honestly, I wish they'd remove those video signs and let me just figure out that kind of stuff for myself
Well, I
to
think
make it
they could have
more intuitive.
Yeah, I think they could have even just like iconized it like they did with the can I say I still love the trend of the orange death signs.
Yeah,
That is
I
that is
like
a
that.
very good positive. That I consider that excellent that they're continuing that.
Story-wise, you'd wonder why Eggman would put that there in the first place, but of course, this is a video game, so that doesn't count for anything.
Now,
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I'm proud
All
of
right.
you.
I like Tails in this game. I thought it was like a great. This is what I hoped they would have done in episode 1, which is like try something new and kind of evolve. Even if like not everything works, like I don't like the role really that much, but I like how it just sort of feels like something different and a step up at least, or at least something different to like differentiate it from the other ones because it is a sequel.
One thing that confuses me why it's even in there is sometimes you'll find this little box that you can hit, and Sonic and Tails do
Oh.
this
Yeah.
huge.
Oh, yeah.
What they call that
Yeah.
Team Blast from Sonic Heroes move?
Yeah.
And you're
I don't
rapidly
know, it's-
tapping this
yeah.
X button. Why does that exist? Why is that even in there?
I mean, I thought it was amusing, but I don't
It's
really
amusing,
understand
but it's
it either.
weird.
Yeah, I
They-
don't
It's
get
weird
it.
that
ran
it's
out-
even there.
They needed to cram one more thing in there, and they couldn't think of much else, so they put in like enemy rooms and
Yeah,
gave
it's
you one of
it's totally
those.
unnecessary too. I mean, you can easily just homing attack all the badniks and get out of there and keep going.
Those
I
are
got it
pretty rare,
twice.
though. They come up
Twice,
maybe.
but I got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that makes it even weirder though that you barely
Yeah.
ever see him. My first playthrough, I saw him twice.
Yeah.
I'm
but-
guessing it was an original idea that maybe that didn't necessarily hit the floor, but that they didn't necessarily completely cut, but they still wanted to utilize, or maybe they were thinking of utilizing it more and they never found a really effective way, so they just decided to throw it in at some point.
Yeah, one other complaint I have is one thing I love, searching for those red rings. That's a tradition since Colors I've actually enjoyed to think of as a plus.
It gives
And
you a
of
chance to
course-
really explore the levels, yeah.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to explore the levels, and I like, collecting the emeralds, but the problem in this game is that there's not really a payoff outside of being supersonic with the emeralds. Collecting red rings gets you an achievement and a trophy, or a trophy, and that's it. You don't get any extra power or any special thing for that. And as far as the emeralds go, do you mind if I spoil the ending a little bit? I mean, there's not a whole lot there. I mean, if you're playing Sonic for a
Oh, I don't know.
playing for
I don't know
Sonic
that
for long.
deep Sonic story.
Yeah.
Cramming
Anyway,
Sonic E right in the middle.
Of course, Sonic defeats Eggman, Natch. But then everything starts to explode around, and Sonic and Tails get on pods and escape the Death Egg
Okay,
and go.
stop me if you've heard this one before.
Yeah, go back to Earth. And then, but if you haven't collected all the emeralds, you get a little try again thing, like the old Genesis games. However, if you have collected all the emeralds, it says nothing. That's it. And in fact, during the credits, you see the Death Egg perfectly fine, with still the little planet still surrounding it. That means they haven't destroyed the Death Egg, but they've gone back to planet Earth with the Death Egg still there. So that means it's an inconclusive to be continued story, which is why I also think there's going to be an episode 3. But why am I collecting all the emeralds and then not getting an extra bonus
I
to
don't
the
know,
story?
because you get to be supersonic.
I'm
Yeah,
probably
but
not
it's
gonna bother
really
with
hard.
it.
I got 6 out of the 7 emeralds. I've been trying the 7th special stage. Man, that's hard.
Are
The
you
one
guys
thing,
doing
I
co-op?
love the special stages. This one in comparison.
Shadow, where
The
are you?
first one was horrible. But the one thing that irritates me are those ones where you pass by the thing and it says collect, this many rings, and the rings are very scarce, and you have to get every single one, and then it'll give you like a 40 or 50 ring bonus. If you
I
do.
will say this: they remixed the Sonic 2 so nicely. I mean, at least visually and in terms of the layout design, the fact that you get to jump, you hit the springs and it takes you to the upper one. The backgrounds look so great. The actual motion, the fluidity of it. I admittedly think that they're maybe a bit harder than they need to be, and they require a bit more precision than they offer actual foresight. But they look good. They look really good.
I like how that the half pipes do have that little dimps flare where they got the rings that are up on the sky, and you have to actually lift yourself off the platform a little bit to.
Is that what you
grab
have to
them.
do? I thought you had to jump for those.
No, you don't jump. You just if you keep holding. If they're on the right, you just keep holding right, and he'll pop up for a second, grab them.
Oh,
Okay,
I've been
I'm doing that
jumping.
wrong then.
Because that's the
Yeah.
way I had to do it with Sonic Rush, and I remember those days.
Yeah, Sonic Rush was easier because you really couldn't jump.
Yeah. Now, what I kind of understand, kind of don't, is why do you think that this game is getting lower scores in comparison to Episode 1 when it's
So far.
when it's pardon me, miles better than Episode 1 is.
I think it's just
I
honestly.
think that,
Go ahead.
I think that developers reviewers, when it comes to Sonic games, I find they have something called collective amnesia. I mean, everyone remember how well reviewed Sonic Adventure 2 was, and then
At the same time, there's a
Shush.
level of perspective. Okay, I apologize. I'll let you
Shush.
finish. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay. And I also have some other things to talk about, but first the
Well, say
reviewers.
this first.
Remember how like the Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 were well reviewed, and then we had Sonic Adventure 2 Battle 7 months later, scored like 2, 3 grades lower at some places, and then we had Sonic Heroes, and people said they almost made, and reviewers said they almost finally made a good 3D Sonic game. And then we had Sonic and the Secret Rings, where they said yet again they almost made a really good Sonic game, but then they gave it an average of about a whole score lower. And then we had Sonic Unleashed, and they said they almost made a really good. It keeps going and keeps going.
Well, part of that
And,
is the timing though of the game's release. Like
well, there
Sonic,
is time.
if you were reviewing Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 now, in comparison to way back then, yeah, you are gonna score them lower because the way they
don't hold
play,
up.
they don't hold up
Factor,
near
but-
as good as they
Hold
used to.
up.
but not that much of a time factor for them to be. Well, for one, forgetting that they did actually make two good 3D Sonic games. They were called Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. They were well reviewed. You can say that they didn't age well, but you can't say that they were never good. When at least from a critical consensus standpoint, which I know only matters so much, opinion is opinion. I mean, from a critical consensus standpoint, they were considered good games. So you can't say that Sonic has never had a good 3D Sonic game, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it
But
might be different critics who were saying that.
I was gonna say
I'm
that.
sure it's different
Yeah.
critics, but like especially when it came to Sonic Adventure. Oh wait, sorry, I almost forgot. Sonic Unleashed and Sonic 06. Let's remember that. Um,
Well, I think Sonic 06 tainted Sonic a lot as far as the
oh
critics
God,
and the
yeah,
fans
Sonic
go.
06.
Oh,
Sonic
Sonic
06.
06 killed Sonic. It basically murdered any respect that the series had for. Even up till today, we are still suffering the wrath of Sonic 06 in the eyes of the critics.
Sonic
And this is 6
2006
years later.
was the game that kind of it had like far-reaching implications. Like I don't think any game has really had this much of an effect on the games that came before, because suddenly it's like the perception of the entire Sonic franchise after the Genesis games just crashed. Like, oh yeah, everything after Sonic
I
3
saw
was
Eggman.
trash.
I don't know. I think that started with Shadow. I think it's
I
just
think it's
that Sonic
Shadow-
06 is
a
the
triple
straw that broke
punch.
the camel's back.
I think I would say it started with Sonic Heroes, but it reached its crescendo. Its
That's
final
exactly
big
what I was
thing
going to say.
with Sonic
Yeah,
06.
it's a triple punch of Sonic Heroes, Shadow, and then Sonic 06, just going from mediocre to
Whoops.
bad to horrible.
And
Sonic
honestly,
sleeping.
I don't think it's necessarily that people are forgetting. I think it's just a matter of, like N Sega said, the fact that there's different critics. But at this point, the whole Sonic franchise and everyone associated with it and anything that has to do with it just carries this big sphere of insanity, and just everyone outside of it, there's just an apathy towards Sonic. Sonic carries so much weight right now that even if you haven't played the old games, even if you haven't never even played 06, there is still the shadow hanging over it of, hey, Sonic gets with this human princess. They Today, we are still suffering repercussions of that. Even with Sonic Colors, which Sonic Colors was reviewed fairly positively. I don't necessarily get all that. In all honesty, Sonic right now, the position that we are in, I feel, is still one step behind where the rest of the industry is right now in terms of expectations. They are getting better. They are absolutely getting closer and closer to that. But the fact remains that they are not quite there yet.
I think with episode 2, though, specifically, what probably ended up happening was that some critics were a little too enthusiastic over 1, and then fans hated it, and then I think they kind of stepped back and were like, okay, we can be a little more critical of, because like people were like wanting a 2D Sonic for years, critics, and they
Well,
finally got
fans,
one, and they were
I
kind
think a
to
lot
it.
of that, yeah. It's also the
fans were
newness of
hating
it.
Sonic 4 Episode 1, but way before the game actually came out.
But it got good reviews at first, and they kind of dropped over time. I
Well,
think
it's
episode
weird
one.
because the early reviewers gave it pretty
Yeah,
glowing reviews. I was
it got great
surprised about that.
reviews.
But
IGN.
anytime I heard it mentioned on podcasts or anything like that, there was a lot of backlash. So it's like the reviewers were kind of okay with it, but everyone else just really turned on it. That it was not
Yeah.
enjoyed by a lot of people. I'm not sure why that disconnect is there, but it
It's
is a very weird disconnect.
I
I'm
think part of
curious.
it.
I got a second theory to propose, and that is what I call the division theory. First started by Sonic Heroes, where critics are generally receptive toward a game. Sonic Heroes scored fairly well, it scored in the sevens, but fans treated it like, oh god, a really, really horrible, horrible game. Like Sega here. He
Yeah.
hated it with a fiery passion,
Oh
and
yeah.
I didn't understand it.
Fiery.
But fiery and bloody, and he killed people over
And
it.
demented and disturbed.
Well,
But
I mean, I admittedly liked Sonic Heroes at the time, and
Wow.
that still holds true for today. It's just there is.
I didn't get to finish my
Yeah.
theory.
Go ahead,
Sure.
go ahead.
But so really, I think it's not so much fans universally hating a game. I think it's a very divisive game. Some people really like it. Some people really hate it because, like Sonic Heroes, it was generally a solid game. It didn't have many bugs. It had fun. It had fun aspects to it, but also had bad aspects to it. Like had lots of enemy rooms. Had like every other level was incredibly slow and
All the combat,
focused
all
Yeah.
the
on the
bosses,
combat.
All
which,
all the
combat is
cutscenes,
all the
mostly-
bugs.
the dialogue, the
depends.
story was all horrible.
Yeah, it depends on whether or not you really care about the dialogue, and whether or not you really hate the combat, or if you can just ignore the combat because, oh hey, but this other level is really good. So stuff like that.
It's something
And
where
Sonic
you
Heroes-
have to ignore a lot of factors to enjoy it. If you're just playing it for the gameplay's sake and for the level design's sake, for the most
Well,
part,
yeah, I mean-
for the most part, it's pretty decent, except for Dingo
I
Highway.
hated the
Stinks.
story and I hated the story in Sonic Heroes,
But the story
the
is just
gameplay
awful, and the dialogue is
generally
awful.
was good. I mean, yes, it had its problems, and for some people, those problems killed the game. I think Sonic 4 it's the same way. I mean, it has solid aspects to it. It's not very buggy. It can be very fast. It has certain qualities that people like, but also has things like the bad physics, like some mediocre level design, like ugly looking graphics, stuff like that can detract it for other people. And
You can also take this from a perspective of the fact that this is the second game in a quote
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm sorry. That's the thing I wanted to bring up, is that the first one was the first 2D HD Sonic game, and there was a lot of newness to it, and that newness is not there anymore. And people I think who are reviewing it now are seeing the glaring flaws from episode 1 and kind of seeing if they're still there in episode 2.
I'd say that aside from some physics problems, the problems largely aren't really there anymore. It's really just the physics that are so kind of messy.
I will say this. I will say this in response to that. A part of it could also be the fact that listening to certain podcasts, there has only been one person ever that I have ever heard on approximately the 10, 15 podcasts that I consistently listen to that has ever given me a clear explanation as to what they do not like about the Sonic franchise. I have a feeling that Sonic in itself can at times be, and I hate to say it this way because this sounds a little too hoity-toity, but the gameplay of Sonic can actually be a bit of an acquired taste. It is not traditional platforming. It is not what we expect. Sonic's always compared to Mario in terms of platforming, but they are very different platformers. They value very different elements, and I feel that a lot of people do not go into a Sonic game perhaps understanding what that game is about. Perhaps understanding, and I'm not saying that's true for all reviewers. I'm saying that there is a general trend of people perhaps not understanding what's going on with Sonic that they do or do not like about it. Or if they do understand, they aren't able to express it very well, because I have heard very few arguments that, and it's like going back. I'm again going back to what Sonic Retro says. I know Slingerland said, "Hey, I love that zero punctuation review of Sonic Generations. That was great." Unfortunately, I didn't hear a single comprehensive complaint. And Yahtzee's the guy who I would expect a good understanding of what his complaints are with a game.
Yahtzee, though, he's even admit he's pretty much a character. He does that for comedy's sake.
I understand that, but
and he's much harsher on a game than most people.
No. I completely understand that. However, whenever he was reviewing Sonic Generations, he said he hated the 3D, but he did not clarify anything about it, what he did not like about it. I see this a lot in reviews. A lot of Sonic reviews very rarely give information. They very rarely give opinions about the nuts and bolts of the gameplay, what worked and what didn't work. And if they do, they don't do them in a very clear way. I have a feeling that a lot of reviewers just aren't sure how to process the type of gameplay Sonic has. We have the benefit of having so much experience that we are able to talk the mechanics of Sonic. However, I just feel that if you are not experienced with Sonic, it's very hard to talk to a Sonic fan like you know what you're talking about.
Well, I personally didn't really understand the physics of Sonic as early as 2010. The physics weren't really something I focused on.
If you played a lot of the Genesis games, you understood the physics. If you could play the Genesis games from start to finish, you understood the physics.
Yeah, I understand where the Sonic Retro, folks are coming from. They have a specific taste. They have a specific expectation of how Sonic's going to control, how he's going to roll, how he's going to move. That you can understand where that kind of hatred comes from when they've been playing Sonic 2, 3, and CD for a long time.
I have no hatred of Sonic Retro. I just feel that...
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, I can understand where they're coming from, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I played a lot of the Genesis games, but I didn't really focus on the physics. It's hard for me to explain, but when I first played Sonic 4 Episode 1, I saw nothing really wrong with it. And it was only after I had Slingerland explain it to me and I read all these complaints and stuff that I began to realize, so that's the problem. So that's how this stuff worked. So I would definitely agree with you that Sonic can be a difficult game to explain, especially the older games.
This becomes the core question then. And this is the question that I don't think a lot of people ask themselves. What do you personally get out of Sonic? Go ahead. You go first. I just wanted to kind of explain where I'm coming from.
I guess I was just
This is why I had so much trouble with the first half of the game, is because what I enjoy about Sonic is the fact that they have very dense levels. I love very dense levels that have a very sprawling, very two-dimensional design. It goes in many different directions. You'll be moving diagonally. You'll be moving up. You'll be moving down. One of the issues I have with New Super Mario Bros. Wii and its predecessor is that you basically move on a straight line. I had a very hard time getting into Donkey Kong Country Returns because it is effectively moving from point A to point B via a straight line.
Yeah, I can understand where you come from there.
I like two-dimensional gaming.
I thought I was going to absolutely love Donkey Kong Country Returns, and then I played about half the game, and for some reason I put it down and just started playing other games, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't picking it up and playing it again. And I think you nailed it on the head. It's just just plain forward direction. There's no reason to really explore or anything. There's no exploration going on in those games.
It's a series of challenges, but it's not a world. It's one-dimensional level design versus two-dimensional level design.
What I get out of a Sonic game personally is speed and movement. That's always been what I've loved about the games.
Then I can see absolutely why you didn't mind Episode 1 at first, because that is what you would get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I love rolling and spin dashing and running through loops and stuff. I loved being able to jump around, make all these cool jumps and reaching all these high areas. Now, in hindsight, yes, that uses momentum, but I mean, if you just hold forward on the D-pad in Sonic 4, you can get similar experiences out of that.
And I think this goes into the idea of what, and I hate to turn this into a Sonic Retro discussion, but I'm just saying, and that's what Sonic Retro has always been about, is the fact that what they appreciate, or what they have shown a clear appreciation based on the community that they've developed, the fact that they host so many fan games. They hold a very high appreciation of the complexity of the actual gameplay itself, the physics that are involved, the nuances of movement, not necessarily the broad strokes.
Yeah,
And
I've never really been about the nuances.
that's why I think it's so hard to review a Sonic game, because everyone, as a fan base, we are so divided because we always approach Sonic from different angles, from different perspectives. We always get different things out of it. So it's
Yeah.
hard for us to really come together to agree on this. I'm sure there are Sonic fans out there who thought, "Hey, this sucks. Sonic. This episode 2 is awful. It's worse than episode 1 or something." It's just that we're coming from a point where all of us are coming from it from different angles, and because the Sonic community is no one can argue with this. The Sonic community is one of the most vocal fan communities out there.
God. Oh God, it is. Every
This is
time I walk into into one of the Sonic forums at Sega, it's like, oh my God, why won't you people ever stop talking so loudly?
this is just a
Typing
veritable
loudly.
explosion of strong personalities, very passionate about their own views, and
Yeah.
it makes it's I feel for reviewers. I can't imagine that being a reviewer for a video game is all that fun, except for possibly you guys, because you're not set to some sort of corporate schedule.
I remember
Yeah.
this one vocal fan who
hopefully I
somehow
will.
gone to E3 a lot and would interview the like people for Sonic 4 and Sonic
Oh, are
Unleashed,
you
and
talking
his
about the
biggest
guy?
complaint was not the level designs and not the
The community.
controls, but the voice acting.
Wait,
Like
what?
I
That
said,
was his
everyone
biggest
gets.
thing.
I mean, especially I work with kids. My job is to work with kids. Kids love Shadow.
Are you talking about the guy who was in the hood
Hmm?
and was being all creepy and
Yes.
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
yeah. He also complained about continuity and stuff. It was like one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Go on, GX.
I'm just saying that the kids, like young people, even I'm gonna say as old as teenagers, that's what they get out of it is the fact that his characters, Sonic has a very distinct level, a very distinct design, which makes it so prone to attachment and expansion. That's why you have Naruto fan fiction, because they've established a world with very distinct things in it. Sonic's the same way. He has a very distinct style. The animals all follow a very similar pattern, so it's very easy to expand it upon. God, I'm getting into my own podcast territory on my episode on fan
This
characters.
is actually a really, really good conversation. I want to expand on it by
This is
seeing
why I
where it
like
all
having
comes from.
GX on the show, because he can
Yeah,
really
see,
get into it.
I want
This
to see
is why I do my
where
show.
Yeah.
the
We're stealing
Sonic.
we're stealing material for your show onto our show, basically.
Apparently,
And Sega, you still there? You
Yo,
still alive?
I'm still alive.
Uh,
I was just. Didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, I
no,
mean,
no.
I kind of feel
Okay,
the same way as far
whatever.
as story and continuity
I'm
sometimes.
going to
Like,
ask you a
what?
question. You
Oh.
shut up. And Sega. And
Yo,
how did you first get into Sonic?
I first got into Sonic when I was in I think it was a Best Buy or something. I was a little kid and like my dad took me to a Best Buy and they had a Sega Genesis demoing Sonic 2. And like it was I don't remember what level it was, but I was like addicted. Like I really wanted a Genesis after I played it. But I mean, even so though, like when Sonic Adventure came out, like I loved the characters and that they talked and that they were voice acted. So like I'm definitely and I like Shadow in Adventure
So,
2.
what do you like
So
about Sonic?
so it's
What
like
do you think makes a good Sonic game?
well for me it's like I just at this point as long as it's fun and as long as it's like a game I can kind of grasp, like I mean my big problem with the Sonic 4 series is that I wish they didn't do it in episodes and I wish that episode 1 was as good as 2 and they released a retail title because I wanted more of like episode 2. than 4
Well, the
levels.
good thing about episode 1 is they learned a lot from that one when it came to episode 2.
Right.
It's obvious that they listened to the fans. They really fixed up the physics. I haven't heard a single complaint about physics
Oh yeah, they're
this time
good.
around.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, they definitely made improvements. I don't know. It's weird though. Like, as long as Sonic for me is fun, and as long as it's kind of like, if it's fun, and I had fun in episode 2. I didn't
Well,
have fun
what
with
is a
episode
fun
1.
Sonic game for you? That's what I'm trying to get to the heart of.
Fun Sonic for me. The Genesis games, the adventure games. I liked Secret Rings. I liked Colors. I liked most of them, to be honest with you. I had fun with Sonic 06, but not in a good
What?
way. Like I had fun with I had fun with Sonic 06.
Oh,
Well,
you can
I-
still
you know
have
what?
fun
I
with
think
Sonic
Yeah,
6.
no, you
people
can.
people do
That's the
kind
right
of
mindset.
people do
I mean,
kind of have fun with Sonic 06 in the kind of like the same way they have fun with a really bad movie where
Can I tell my
they're
Sonic?
laughing at how bad this is. It's like, this is so horrible. And it's
Yeah, I
My
mean,
Sonic
hilarious.
06
You're
story.
tearing me apart.
shitty
I mean,
Lisa.
you could tell just by how many YouTube videos of Let's Play Sonic 06 there are on YouTube that people enjoy that game on a really really bad level of how bad it is.
but it's like
Can I
funny though,
tell you
because
my
like
Sonic
even
06
though
story real quick?
I trashed the game, I gave it like a 4 out of 10 on GameFAQs. I trashed it. I really hated it,
It
but
deserves
yet
to be though.
yeah, because it's bad. But like yet when I play like Flame Core and I get to the volcano in the second half, like the music and the atmosphere, it reminds me of Sonic Adventure, and for some reason I love that. Like I don't know what it is about it, but
Well, there's a lot of
I can replay that
nostalgia
level.
there. I mean,
So
Somehow, yeah.
you like the music and the action and the characters and the atmosphere. That's what you like.
I
You
like
like
that
speed
too.
and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like that too. I mean, it's a lot of things I like or dislike about Sonic. I thought the only thing I mean, I didn't like Colors as much as some people did because I thought the powers kind of took away from it. But a lot of people loved that game, and I understand it because that was fun.
Sonic
I don't
Colors
know.
Sonic Colors is a really good game. It's just I've come to the terms that it is a really good game, but not necessarily a good Sonic game.
It's a very
Because
unique game in which it's kind of like a half 3D Sonic, and then it kind of turns into a half, almost like a 2D Mario in a way.
Yeah,
Because when it gets to 2D platforming, the game slows down for you. It still has those big, exploratory maps, but then you're just jumping on to regular platforms. You got to watch out for those thwomp things that are
the
similar
bulk
to
of the
thwomps.
interaction is not what we've traditionally come to accept as Sonic.
Yeah, it's very different, but at the same time, it's its own thing, and I think it's still a high quality game.
Yes.
oh yeah, of course.
So,
Uh,
GX, how did you get into Sonic?
Honestly, a lot of it started with nostalgia. I got cut off around, I'm going to say, middle high school because basically Pokemon came out. That absorbed my life for a rather long time. I started to get back into it as soon as I completely missed the Dreamcast era because, again, Pokemon,
Wow.
that was a thing. And I got my N64, I got my Pokemon Snap, I got freaking Hey You Pikachu.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got it bad. But effectively, at some point, I think what happened was Adventure 2 Battle came out. Everyone was all excited because Sonic was on Nintendo. I was excited because I had forgotten Sega for so very long. I started looking back into my comics, realizing, hey, you know what? I had so much fun with this. Why did I ever quit? It's just that, and again, I'm going to where I stand right now, and the way that I'm able to vocalize how I feel about what I like to get out of a game. A lot of it goes to the fact that in college I started listening to podcasts, and the podcast that I attempt to emulate in my tone is Radio Free Nintendo. And if you are a Nintendo fan at all and you want very rational, very adult conversations about Nintendo, not adult as in vulgar, but adult as in very mature, very
Really?
thought-provoking conversations of Nintendo, I recommend Radio Free Nintendo. It is a phenomenal Nintendo podcast run by very passionate Nintendo fans that are not they understand the industry and they understand Nintendo a lot more than almost any other website I've ever been to. They are realists they're slight optimists, but they also understand Nintendo and the types of decisions that Nintendo makes. So, and that's what I always hoped to bring to Sonic, because, as I said, I feel that there is just this massive bubble of insanity of everyone involved whenever things are related to Sonic. And I'm not saying that I'm outside of the bubble, but I'm inside of the bubble I want to try to make sense of it. I want to try to make things slightly better, and I want conversations to be more than, hey, this character should totally hook up with this character, such as Big Cross Sonic, calling back to things that the audience wouldn't have heard.
Yes, Big X Sonic. I'm still supporting that. So I think we kind of
Only in a Namco cross.
went
Well,
off
nobody asked me what about my feelings on
well,
that.
we haven't got.
Oh, Jigs,
We haven't even really done general feelings yet either.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As far as when I got into Sonic, I actually owned a Genesis just before Sonic 1 came out. So, I was, right there from day one with Sonic 1, 2, but I didn't really get into it till...
What was your first game then? Out of curiosity, what was your first game then?
Of Sonic? Or first game ever?
On Genesis. On Genesis.
My first game ever on Genesis was probably, like, Golden Axe, or I think the game it came with was Altered Beast.
Okay, I was just curious because historically I don't have a lot of perspective of Genesis prior to Sonic. So I was just curious.
Yeah, Golden Axe was the launch title, and I think that's when I bought a used one that came with Altered Beast, if I remember. Altered Beast was the launch title. I'm sorry, not Golden Axe. But I didn't really get. I still liked at the time. I still liked Mario more, but I started coming around Sonic more when he got to his own comic and his cartoon, and he became like a multi-tiered, more of a character, almost like Mickey Mouse, or he's what do they call that? Multimedia or multimedia. Yes, exactly. Multimedia character more than Mario. Where Mario, even though he had his own cartoon, it was horrible. It showed his character off horribly. And to be fair, Mario is always going to be a video game icon to me, where Sonic, to me, is more of a multimedia icon. That surpasses video games in a lot of ways.
It helped that Sonic so represented the era.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get to is, what do all of you like about the Sonic games, and how does that factor into into how you got into Sonic?
Well, for me,
that's what I'm trying to get to.
For me, as far as Sonic goes, it's both the platforming, it's the speed, it's the flow of the game, how well it moves, and it's the exploration. Those are the main four that are important to me. That's why I can kind of see, like, Jim Sterling kind of preferred Episode 1 in an odd way, but I think he just liked the episode design of Episode 1 more than
I will admit,
Episode 2.
Going back, I will admit, as soon as I hit what was it, Episode Metal or something, I did get those nostalgia pains of, there were a lot of parts of this that I actually did like out of Episode 1.
I never hated the level design of Episode 1. I just hated mainly the physics and kind of the repeated, bosses that were just old, easy bosses. And
admittedly, I think I did like the fact that Episode 1 was flat, that the stages were flat. Admittedly, yes,
one thing I really liked about Episode 2. That's one thing I noted in my preview, was that just the geography and the Episode 2's levels are a lot more interesting.
They're 3D. I think in some ways that hurt it, because now that they're moving out of a sprite-based system to a geometry-based system, they didn't put as much complexity into it. But that's just my personal feelings. So it's just my views on that. But so I think now that we've been on for however freaking long we've been on,
I knew it was going to get you in there 2 hours.
Yeah, we probably should start wrapping it up. I've got teaching tomorrow.
GX, you did say something that I just want to quickly comment on.
Yes.
When you talked about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, getting you back into it,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people had that experience, and that's why I kind of shake my head a little bit when I hear critics like bashing everything that those games brought to the series, because like people like those games are special to a whole part of the fan base, the
That's
Sonic
kind of
Adventure games.
it's kind of
Here-
where the new generation came from.
Yeah,
Sonic Adventure 2
exactly.
and Sonic
It
X
is
and
for
that.
the new generation, but also realize, I mean, like I said, I am sympathetic to the plight of the critic because they play so many games. That as many games as between the four of us actually play, that pales in comparison to the stack that any reviewer would have to go through. And I completely understand why someone who plays so many games of so many genres doesn't have the same nostalgia pangs, doesn't have the same sympathy for a game in its time than we would. I mean, to be honest, we're fans. That's why we do this. That's why we're here. We're fans.
That's one of the
If they were fans, then they would have as much dedication. They would have as much understanding of the perspective of those games. However, we have a completely different perspective that's much more focused on this particular series. So I don't hate anyone who's a bit more negative on the Sonic or doesn't or just dislikes the gameplay of Sonic or dislikes the older games for X, Y, or Z reason. I feel that you should be able to express why you do, though. And I feel that there's just not enough of that going on, that people don't really talk about Sonic. They talk about the past of Sonic. They talk about X, Y. I made a drinking game for Sonic reviews. If any Sonic review starts with, "Oh, these Sonic games in the past were not good," in the first paragraph or in the first sentence, you take two shots.
I have made it a rule to not start any of my reviews like that anymore, especially after Sonic Colors.
And I think that's a noble thing to do. I just feel that we have a very different perspective being inside this fan base than other people do. That doesn't mean that there isn't some level of unprofessionalism involved in the current review structure. However, I also understand that the current review structure is so completely effed to begin with, is so primed to get it by a certain date, is not designed for is barely designed for the consumer anymore. It's designed for the hits of people who want to justify their reactions to things. The review structure is effed, and unfortunately Sonic is one of the casualties of that. Sonic is
I'd say that the reviews have also kind of just become a part of the marketing structure of games.
That too, but yeah. It's a depressing situation, but I am a bit optimistic that games are still a young medium. The industry itself has a lot of growing to do before it really understands its own place. It has a lot of growing to do before the quote casual gamers really get in on the ground floor and really become accepting. I mean, our generation is the first generation where video games were such a massive part of our lives. Our kids are going to be even more part of that, assuming we have them. In my case, that's a big assuming. But I mean, I take my Game Boy and I get about 3 street passes today going into one of the schools. We are entering, I hate to get all heady like this, but we are going.
Yeah, man.
I am very curious to see what the next generation's going to be like now that they have such a glut of interactive media presented to them, more complex than anything we ever faced in our childhood. And sorry, I guess I'm teacher.
When I was a kid, getting a video game was a major event for me. It was either one where I had to save up all my money for, or I got it only during birthdays or Christmas.
And now kids get the iPod and they can get every game for free as long as it has ads or something. So it's
pretty much.
It's a very different. Things are going to look very different, and I'm very curious what I'm going to become a crotchety old man about. Every generation's going to be one. I wonder what this generation's Elvis legs are going to be.
Well, I can already see with some people, it's casual games and iOS games and
That's
DLC
only
and episodic games. I mean, just
that's only
ask
within our
Insect.
structure, though. That's only the quote hardcore that really is irritated by that kind of stuff.
I hate the term hardcore. I prefer like enthusiast.
I prefer
Yeah.
that too, but it's just a good shorthand to
Hardcore has been being
show.
kind of abused these days.
Yeah.
So where's the softcore gamers? I want to introduce
That
the
sounds
soft.
dirty.
Yeah,
To be
that
fair,
really
so
does.
is hardcore. Wasn't
Yeah,
that the whole
right.
point of hardcore?
Hardcore porn.
Oh man.
So, before we start wrapping things up, I do want to tell my Sonic 06 story, and I apologize if I've already told this. Did I tell about the Shadow Truck story?
The Shadow Truck? No, I don't
Sounds
think I've heard.
familiar, but
A story about the beach and the ATV.
No, is this in the game?
It's in Sonic 06. This is
No.
my Sonic 06 story. I was playing on whatever beach level Shadow has. I found one of those little ATVs. I don't believe I was meant to get it over a certain ledge, but I was able to get it over a certain ledge. That ledge led to a loop. I was able to drive that ATV up the loop. I made it to the very top. I thought I was going to make it to the very bottom. I fell halfway. Once I got to the very top and died. It was
Aw.
amazing. It was. I had to sit down for about 2 minutes just to laugh that out. That I almost made it in this way that I absolutely should not have. Driving an ATV around a loop.
Oh, wow.
Now, most of my experience
The
with
final
Shadow
boss was
involving
really
vehicles is I would just step off. I would just get out of the vehicle because I would just die every time. And I found out not using the vehicle was just the better option.
So, I don't know. I think I'm all talked out for tonight. I think the
Good.
kids need me to be
So,
As
fully
far as the
rested for
kids,
tomorrow.
you were mentioning like the kids being Shadow fans, and that I think that has a lot to do with like the kids just like the dark, edgy characters nowadays. That
Well, that's kids. That's
Yeah.
I think kids always
that
like the
will be
dark
how
edgy
kids-
character.
Shadow is basically Vegeta to Sonic's Goku, I think.
kids
Yeah,
love things.
I was about to mention, everyone likes Vegeta. No one likes Goku. No one talks about Goku.
I like little Goku.
Well, little Goku's a little weird.
Well, yeah. I like
Groping girls and stuff. And
Like pats him on the crotch to see if they're a girl or a boy because he's now had zero experience with girls. So he just goes the direct approach. It's
just
Any-
like in kindergarten.
I
I have never had an experience like that in kindergarten. I will be upfront about that. I have never had that experience.
I'll be glad you're not a teacher in Japan. From what I've been reading before, they have this game where they clasp their hands together and to make their two fingers, like a gun. And then if you're not watching them, they will jab their two fingers up your butt.
Oh, that's
As
an
a joke.
anime trope all the time. So don't worry. American kids have their own stupid games.
So let's start talking about our final thoughts in the game. And Sega, what do you think of Sonic 4 Episode 2? Just give us a rundown. Hello?
And Sega,
Oh my God, are you actually gone?
he's showing us there. He's just not talking.
Shigs, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is it's a much better quality game than the first one, but at the same time, some of the way the levels are designed are almost as unmemorable as the music is. It's obviously a middle child syndrome here. It's all right, but it could be. It's very good, but it could be better. It's an improvement in some ways, and you can see where they could have done better. Basically,
We have
So where
we
could
have
they have
the
done better exactly?
it's improvement in most ways, anyway.
we have the benefit of, unfortunately, we have the blessing and curse of perspective with Generations.
Yeah.
We
Generations
saw what
really.
it could have been.
Generations is also what's killing this game, I think, as far as reviews go. Generations killed as far, Sonic 4 Episode 1, it was 100 times better.
Yeah.
And Generations is still better than Episode 2 can hope to be as far as 2D Sonic.
You know, I'd go so far as to say that
Yeah.
Sonic, the console Sonic games in general have been harming the DLC games. Like Sonic Colors completely overshadowed Sonic 4 Episode 1. You know, it's just a much better game, got much better reviews, and everyone has liked it more.
Well,
Yo, can you hear me? Real fast. Can you hear
Except
me?
for Jim
Yeah, I can hear
Sterling.
you now.
Sweet. Okay, continue. Go.
no.
Oh,
How
wait.
about you why don't you give us your final thoughts? We're starting to wrap things up.
Yeah, my mic just cut. Sonic 4 Episode 2 to me was a huge improvement over the first one. I thought it was what Sonic 4 should have been to begin with because I thought it advanced the series. It did new things. It tried new stuff. It had big bosses. It had great graphics, and I really enjoyed the game. I had some issues with the special stages and a couple other little things that I'll talk about when I do my weekly roundtable thing I'm doing. But I overall had a lot of fun with it, and I hope they do another one. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, for me, it almost feels like this one can fit in with the Genesis games, like maybe in between
Yeah.
2 and 3.
It
In
does.
terms of
It
quality
definitely
and
does
such.
more.
If there's times where I felt like I was playing a Genesis Sonic game, that's
Yeah, same.
probably the biggest compliment I can give it.
I'd say the graphics help that. That I
Yeah.
can understand why you like the graphics because those were definitely Genesis styles brought to life as opposed
it was
to
it was like Genesis and Super HD as far as the graphics go.
Yeah.
They're clear, they're sharp, it's easy to follow everything. That's what I like about it.
And cool new enemies too, I thought.
Yeah, I
Cool
really
new
love
baddies.
the bandits. They're
Bad mix, yeah.
adorable little bastards.
Especially the polar bear guy. Fuck him.
Knuckles?
Knuckles.
Okay, I finally get going my spiel. I personally, I don't know, I wasn't actually excited at all for this game. When it was coming, I was like, oh yeah, hey, Sonic 4
Hey, I
Episode
wasn't
2
either.
is coming next week.
Yeah, I felt the same thing. I was like, yeah, big whoop.
Like I said, they did nothing to help it.
I had played it at PAX, and it was like, you know, it's a good game. It has improvements, but it doesn't blow me away. It didn't blow me away at PAX. In that sense, this game does, as I'm finishing it, doesn't quite blow me away. I can kind of understand why Sterling said that the game is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just whelming. It's just whelming. You know, it's just kind of there. But as a Sonic fan, though, it does do a lot of neat things that I can appreciate. That I think make the game a lot of fun. I think make it a really good quality platformer, like the throwback to Flying Fortress. That was cool. Sylvania Castle, the Sylvania Castle boss, which at the end, you remember those two pillars that came up.
They
When I
totally
saw
told
those,
me on that.
I instantly thought we were going to be jumping on arrows, and I was going to repeat that.
Yes.
And then
Complete
the
troll.
machine just
Then
smashes.
out and just smashed them. And that just, to me, was a brilliant way of Sonic Team just kind of setting the tone for the rest of the game.
F you, us.
For Episode 1. And also, really just kind of throwing a neat little reference to the fans who were complaining about the reused bosses, because I thought, yes, I was going to be jumping on arrows and stuff. I thought this was going to be a rehash of a Sonic 2 boss, but instead it was just giant flower thing, which was that was funny to me. That was cool. That was a nice little reference to so many different things done in 2 seconds of animation. And then, of course, there's the Sonic and Tails dynamic, which I think GX Echidna did not give me a fair swing at, because I actually like the Sonic and Tails cooperative.
I still don't care about your opinion.
Yes, you do. In my preview, which I'm sure everyone has read, that was really one of the highlights of the demo for me, was being able to utilize Tails to get around and to do things, because it really did change up the game. It added new things. It kind of let me control Tails for the first time since Sonic Adventure. Well, okay, I guess it's more Sonic Advance 2 or 3. I'm not sure which one you count, but one of those games.
Did you try the co-op?
I haven't controlled Tails. I haven't controlled Tails directly. I mean, like you can fly as Tails. You can do all the movements Tails can do. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Shigs didn't like the co-op. I actually kind of did. I thought it was pretty interesting how they implemented certain things. I mean, it's good stupid fun. If you want stupid fun out of the game, it provides it.
I think it is fun. It's definitely not a way you want to play the main game.
And I would say don't play with online random people because it is a fantastic tool. It gives you many tools to troll.
Yes, play with friends just to goof around. That's what that mode's basically for.
But I haven't
Also, you can get red rings that way, and you get to keep them.
I actually haven't done cooperative yet because of my internet not being very good. But yeah, and the cooperative especially really kind of reminds me of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Really, this whole game feels like a bite-sized Sonic version of Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Ooh, I got a story about that.
Hey, shush! You've already told that story. And other venues, you can tell that story when we do our E3 show later.
Yeah, but it fits in here. That basically, I played Donkey Kong Country Returns with Takashi Iizuka just 2 years ago. So this game might have been an inspiration.
The story has been told. Okay.
Talking over you. Save it for the E3 show. There. I think I won. Did I win?
I already said it, so you lost.
You can think you won.
I can't hear you because I was talking over you.
Well, go ahead.
But in any case, yes, we are both. Jason and I have gotten our E3 confirmations, so we are going. Now, where was I? Crap.
You're talking about Donkey Kong and Iizuka.
Oh yeah, no, I was not talking about Donkey Kong Iizuka. But yes, this does kind of remind me of Donkey Kong Country Returns because Donkey Kong Country Returns, that was also a game that didn't really nail the old Donkey Kong games. It had new enemies. It had a new feeling to it. It had lots of new controls, but it was reminiscent enough that gave you this nostalgia trip. So it's this kind of a combination of old and new to produce what was, in my opinion, a very good side-scrolling platformer, much better than any 2D Mario game, especially in the last few years. And for me, Sonic 4 Episode 2 is kind of the same thing, where it takes enough from the Genesis games and combines it with new things and new feeling and all this newer stuff to produce a game that's reminiscent, that's nostalgic, but also very fun, new, and modern. Now, that isn't to say that excuses it for its physics. The physics I really think should have been done better, but they're at least improved enough where it's it's improved enough is basically my point. That it allows for a much better game.
Yeah, even Generations didn't have perfect.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, physics.
I don't understand why they have such difficulties nailing those physics down. I mean, with Episode 2, it makes sense because they said that they break the game. But why not with Generations? Why couldn't they get it right with that game?
It could be the difference between being in a sprite-based environment and a 3D graphics environment where the physics are actually based on real life physics.
They already have an engine. They're just trying to cobble something onto a pre-existing engine.
I actually saw a video on Sonic Retro, which was basically a 3D Sonic game with a 3D side-scrolling Sonic game with the classic physics. So I'm not sure that's really the reason.
All right, I think that's going to about wrap it up for us.
And wait.
What?
I get to close, too.
Okay.
I will keep this very out-of-characteristically concise.
Shouldn't Sega say something?
I already did, like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
I get my final thoughts.
You could say something again. You did not get to talk very much.
I'll say goodbye at the end.
To interrupt, like I'm doing right now.
He spoke his piece at the end. He spoke his piece on the game.
I will keep this concise. If you are already apathetic about Sonic, if you are already apathetic about the game, I would say don't bother. If you are interested in it, I would say stick with it to the end. There are good times to be had with it, especially if you already appreciated or enjoyed the first one. It has one of the most fascinating final bosses I've seen in not just a Sonic game, but a platforming game. A
Oh,
true
yeah.
platforming game in a long while.
I'm
It-
playing it right now.
It's a good final boss.
It is a amazing final boss that it is a platforming final boss, and
Right.
it uses platforming. It doesn't use combat, which is it's lovely. It is amazing, and it is appropriately difficult.
Oh,
Eggman
Unless-
really, all the
Ballheart
boss
there.
battles have been difficult.
So that's my piece.
Hmm.
Are you gonna say we're up, over, and gone?
I hope to soon. I hope to very soon.
Alrighty, well that's been Sonic Talk. We've been going on for just over 2 hours. I'd like to thank everyone for listening in. If you want to leave a comment, you can leave a comment right here on Sega Bits or on our Twitter, Sega Bits Twitter. You can also leave it on our Sonic Talk Twitter, but nobody ever does. Nobody's really following me on that, so forget
Also,
about that
be sure
one, I
to
guess.
was
follow
worth
our
a try.
E3 coverage, which we will be providing through Sonic Stadium and Sega Bix come E3 next year, next month, which we will be attending because we are going to E3.
Yep, keep checking back
Unlike,
on Sonic Stadium and over here for our daily coverage. I'll be doing the Sonic Stadium review of Sonic 4 Episode 2 fairly soon.
Really?
Shakes, do you want a pity follower?
Yes.
Will you accept a pity follower?
Sure.
Yes, we will.
Okay. By the end of the show.
All right, then, that wraps it up. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.